On Tuesday, the country of Lebanon was rocked with explosions from handheld devices such as pagers that killed a dozen people, including children, and wounding over 2,800 others. In fact, children that were killed in this pager attack, Fatima Abdullah, who's a 9-year-old girl, and Bilal Kanj, an 11-year-old boy. Now, the next day, even more devices were detonated. Now, who could have done this? Well, Israel. In fact, Israel had booby-trapped these devices and were worried that they were going to get discovered, and so set them off. Now, according to multiple Lebanese and international media outlets, the targets of Wednesday's attacks included people attending funerals of those that were actually killed by the previous day's explosions. So, full stop. They're turning pagers and cell phones and handheld devices into literal bombs. This is terrorism. I mean, how is this not terrorism? No, it's terrorism. It's terrorism. Let's be honest. I mean, detonating these devices in the middle of the day, you had supermarkets, okay, people sitting in supermarkets having these things go off. You want to say that, that's okay, though. Hezbollah is a terrorist organization. Hamas is a terrorist organization. All right, well, let's add the Israeli government to that list because this is a terrorist attack. This is an idea that a terror group would come up with and use. That's what this is. Numerous observers, including experts on international law, agree. They said the Israeli device attacks fit the legal definition of terrorism. And they pointed to a video footage of a pager detonating in a crowded market. Heidi Matthews, an associate professor of the Osgood Law School of York, wrote that, quote, each explosion constitutes an indiscriminate attack, and that, under these circumstances, this is an act of terror. When are we going to admit that the Israeli government, which is massively right-wing, is now a terrorist state? The United States is supporting a terrorist group. That's what we're doing. Now, of course, they won't admit that. In a Wednesday briefing, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres warned against the weaponization of civilian objects. Quote, what has happened is particularly serious, not only because of the number of victims that it caused, but because of the indications that exist that this was triggered, I would say, in advance of a normal way to trigger these things, because there is a risk of this being discovered. Now, of course, the Israeli government, Benjamin Netanyahu, are going to try to justify this by saying, October 7th. Wait, October 7th was terrible, yes. But since then, Israel has left more than 146,000 Palestinians dead, injured, or missing. That is far more than the number of Israelis that were killed or kidnapped on October 7th. And let's not forget, too, that this conflict didn't just start on October 7th. Palestinians have been brutalized for decades under the Israeli occupation. And there has been both deaths on Palestinian side and on the Israeli side. So now this occupation is illegal. But anyway, since, their operation in Gaza, no one has stopped that at all. The Israeli government's like, you know what? We're just going to escalate attacks. We're going to attack the West Bank now. And we're going to, provoke Hezbollah into a conflict. And I know there are people out there saying, well, but it's Hezbollah and Hamas. They're terrorist organizations. But wait, the Israeli government is also acting as a terrorist organization. Why is Israel trying to start something with Hezbollah? Why are you in the West Bank to begin with? Hamas wasn't even there. They're not in the West Bank. They were in Gaza, but now you've decided Gaza's not enough. We're going to go to the West Bank. You know why? Because it doesn't matter to them. It's not about 10-7. It's not about trying to defend ourselves, as the Israeli government claims. Oh, we're just trying to defend ourselves. Do we not have a right to self-defense? No, it's not about that. It's about purging these areas of Palestinians so that Israeli settlers can annex them. That's what this is about. It's about land. It's about Jared Kushner being able to come in and develop condos in Gaza. All right? That's why they flattened it. And by the way, I think it's also why Prime Minister Netanyahu wants to continue sabotaging ceasefire negotiations. The right-wing Israeli government does not want peace. It wants war. It wants to do ethnic cleansing. That's it. They don't care what happens to the Palestinians as long as they're gone. Whether they, you know, and I hate saying this, but whether they end up being killed or run off somewhere else doesn't matter to Netanyahu. It is about trying to take that land and make it basically into Israel. That's a problem. And of course now they're trying to provoke Hezbollah by doing literal terrorist attacks against them. Citing both an unnamed former Israeli official with knowledge of the operation and an anonymous U.S. official, Axios reported that Israeli intelligence services plan to use the booby trap pagers it managed to plant in Hezbollah's ranks as a surprise opening blow in an all-out war to try to cripple Hezbollah. So that's what they're doing. They're creating more conflict, more war. And until the United States, their biggest ally, stands up and says, okay, we're done with this. No more weapons. We're not going to send you any more weapons if you're going to keep instigating wars here. Then they're going to keep pushing. The United States continues to supply the weapons and the money. Then, I mean, what else is next? They're going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing until we end up fighting all of Israel's enemies, like Iran, which I think would be an absolute disaster. No, we don't. I don't want to get into a war with Iran. I don't want to get into mired into a war in the Middle East. No, no. We got to cut them off before they do something that everybody's going to regret. And it looks like they're already pushing in that direction. And right now, I don't see Joe Biden doing anything. It's going to be one of those things where it's like, oh, you know, Hamas and you probably shouldn't attack Hezbollah. But, I mean, if you're going to do so, then we're still going to, send you weapons. But we're going to write a very sternly worded letter saying, oh, don't you stop that. You don't do that, Israel. Oh, you did it already. I guess we're going to have to come defend you now. No, this is disastrous. This is terrorism. This is horrible. And yet, here we are, the United States government going to continue to give Israel weapons, money, and support, even though they're pushing for more and more conflict and more death. This is not the way that we should be going. We should be pushing, we should be using our leverage to try to get everyone to a peaceful agreement around the negotiating table. And we're just, right now, not doing it. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon in order to get notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to support independent, progressive media through this difficult time where it seems like everybody is shutting down, you can become a member on our YouTube page, you can become a subscriber on Facebook, or you can go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Thank you.